Every time we sit down to watch this team, it feels like riding a roller coaster blindfolded. You look at the roster, the firepower, the names that make defensive coordinators lose sleep, and you expect an offense ready to light up scoreboards. Yet week after week, the frustration keeps piling up, and it becomes impossible not to ask how a unit with this much talent keeps stumbling while the defense carries itself like a group built for deep postseason football. You do not need a magnifying glass to see the contrast. The defense keeps rising, tightening up its assignments, communicating better, disguising coverages with confidence, and showing the kind of swagger fans crave. Meanwhile, the offense looks stuck in mud. After the bye week, they walked into Green Bay and managed only 10 points. Then Detroit showed up, and the Eagles mustered 16. You cannot expect to win consistently when your offense flatlines like that. And it is not as if this is a team lacking in stars. The expectations are huge because the foundation is supposed to be strong. Statistically, the picture says a lot. The scoring average hovers in the low 20s, almost smack in the middle of the league. The total yardage sits near the bottom third. The yards per play are ordinary at best, and third downs have turned into something resembling a brick wall. Even with all that, they still manage to shine in the red zone, which is wild considering how often the rest of the field feels like a slog. But when you rely on red zone execution to save the day every week, eventually the problems elsewhere catch up. On the defensive side, the story is completely different. Ever since that mid-season shakeup in personnel, they have looked faster, sharper, more determined. Points allowed are trending down. Yards given up are shrinking. Situational football, especially in the red zone, has been a strength. It is the type of defensive performance that championship-caliber teams lean on. But championship-caliber football also demands balance, and that is where the issues begin to snowball. When you think back to last season, there was this moment when everything clicked. After that early bye, they rediscovered their identity. They went back to being a downhill, physical, relentless rushing team. From there, everything else opened up. Defenses had to respect the run, so the passing game felt cleaner and more dynamic. Saquon Barkley looked electrifying, cutting through defenses with burst after burst. The play-action game felt dangerous. Everything was synchronized. Fast forward to now, and the run game feels like a stranger you barely recognize. The yards per carry have dipped. The explosive runs have vanished. And it is not because they stopped running. The attempt numbers are still high, but the production rarely matches the workload, and you can see the frustration on the faces of the offensive players. Even with the yardage improving slightly these past few weeks, the run game has hovered around the middle of the league instead of being one of its most feared groups. And the passing side? It feels like an enigma. They are one of the most conservative teams in the league, splitting run and pass almost perfectly. There is nothing wrong with balance, but the problem is that balance does not automatically mean efficiency. The completion percentage is solid. Yards per attempt are respectable, but the volume is near the bottom of the league. And when you look at total passing yards, that number is buried near the very end. A player is gifted as a J. Brown feels stuck in a system that does not give him enough chances to break open a game. When your receivers are that upset, it is usually a sign of deeper issues. The analytics show mixed results. Middle of the pack in total offensive efficiency. Solid in passing efficiency, surprisingly. Weak in rushing efficiency, which tracks with what we have seen on the field. And the overall takeaway is simple. A team with this much offensive talent should not look this difficult to watch. You should not be sitting on your couch asking why every drive feels like pulling teeth. So where do the problems begin? It is not a single issue. It is a combination of things that pile up until everything feels disjointed. Play calling has been one of the big concerns. The rhythm is off. The sequencing rarely makes sense. Drives do not flow. It feels like there is no clear plan for setting up plays, manipulating defenses, or keeping them off balance. And when an offense lacks creativity, everything becomes harder. Routes look predictable. Defenses sit on tendencies. The passing windows shrink. Receivers struggle to separate. And suddenly your quarterback is being asked to thread needles on nearly every throw. But not all of this falls on the play caller. The quarterback deserves some responsibility too. They're having games where he looks sharp and decisive, like a top-tier player. And there have been games where everything fell off, where accuracy dipped, reads lagged, and the offense stalled. Yet even with those ups and downs, the numbers say he is having a pretty strong year. He ranks high in deep ball efficiency, pressured throws, and accuracy against both man and zone. His improvements are clear, but improvements cannot overcome a scheme that lacks imagination. And then comes the part of his story that almost nobody talks about, but matters a lot. Continuity, or the complete lack of it. Since his college days, he has never had the same offensive coordinator 2 seasons in a row. Not once. Every year he has had to learn a new system, a new philosophy, new terminology, new tendencies. Most quarterbacks would crumble under that. So when you evaluate him, you must consider that he has carried the weight of constant change for nearly a decade. That type of instability always leaves a mark. Still, there are other problems too. Receiver separation has plummeted. When you average less than 2 yards of space per route, everything becomes a contested ball. Yards after the catch are almost non-existent. Some of this is on the scheme, but some of it is on the players not winning their matchups the way elite receivers are expected to. When your wideouts struggle to create space, it suffocates the offense. It forces the quarterback into high-risk throws, it limits creativity, and it makes every possession feel like a fist fight. And the offensive line? Last year, they were monstrous. They pushed people around. They created lanes you could drive a truck through. This year has been a different story. Injuries everywhere. Fatigue seems obvious. Execution has slipped. And the absence of key veterans for multiple weeks creates a ripple effect across the entire offense. Blocking collapses faster. Running backs get hit behind the line. Quarterbacks feel pressure before the play develops. When your trenches fall apart, the entire structure of the offense crumbles with them. And when you dig deeper into the offensive line issues, you start noticing patterns that explain why the run game has lost its punch. Last season, the running back regularly reached the second level untouched, gliding through holes that looked like they were carved with precision. This year, he is barely taking a step before a defender is already wrapping him up. His yards before contact have fallen dramatically, and that difference alone tells you everything you need to know. A drop that's steep is never about the players suddenly forgetting how to run. It is about the blocking collapsing before the play even develops. You can see it on film. Defenders are winning off the snap, twisting through gaps, shooting into the backfield with almost no resistance. The offensive line once prided itself on being the enforcer, the tone setter, the group that dictated the flow of the game. But too many injuries, too many shifting pieces, and too many missed assignments have turned that once dominant unit into something far more vulnerable. And when your offensive identity is built on physicality, losing that edge affects everything else. The receivers have their own set of problems. A.J. Brown, once a steamroller with the ball in his hands, does not look like the same force this season. You can sense that physically he is not at 100%, and on top of that, he is not winning routes the way he used to. A couple of seasons ago, if you left him alone on the outside in a one-on-one matchup, the result felt almost predictable. Now, those same matchups are pulling in mixed results, and defenses are no longer panicking every time he lines up across from corner. He is still a talented player, but the explosiveness, the crisp separation, the overwhelming physical dominance that made him such a nightmare have not shown up consistently. And because of that, the offense sometimes looks like it is forcing the ball in his direction, trying to keep him satisfied, try to ignite something that does not want to ignite. Meanwhile, the receiver on the opposite side has been the more reliable spark. Devonta Smith has stepped into this season with a surge of confidence, gliding through coverages with smooth footwork, slicing through zones with ease, and making plays downfield that remind everyone how polished he is. When the ball finds him, the offense usually looks more alive. When it does not, the rhythm suffers. Yet there are games where he barely gets the ball because the scheme bends too hard toward feeding the veteran wideout. All of this sits on top of a brutal schedule that has tested the Eagles every single week. Their opponents have fielded some of the toughest defenses in the league, the kind that hit you early, tighten windows, and make you earn every single yard. Facing a gauntlet like that exposes weaknesses you did not even know were there. It forces you to adjust, adapt, and evolve. And right now, this offense is still searching for its answer to that pressure. The strange part is that the defense has embraced the challenge. They have improved. They have responded. They have stepped up as the backbone of the team. But football is not a sport where one unit can compensate forever. Eventually, the offensive side must match that intensity. It must find a rhythm. It must rediscover what made it dangerous. And until that happens, every game feels like an uphill climb. When you step back and look at the big picture, it becomes clear this is not a team lacking talent. It is a team searching for direction, a team waiting for the light switch to finally flip. Everyone knows what this offense is capable of. Everyone knows what these players have done in the past. But potential means nothing if the execution keeps lagging behind. The play calling has to evolve. The quarterback needs stability. The receivers need to win earlier in routes. The offensive line must get healthier and sharper. The run game needs to breathe again. And more than anything, the entire unit needs a spark, something to reignite their identity and remind them of who they're supposed to be. There are moments each week where you catch a glimpse of that version of the offense. A perfectly timed deep shot, a bruising run that breaks through the line, a crisp drive that slices through the field with poise and efficiency. Those flashes remind you that the ceiling is still high. But flashes are not enough. Not when the expectations are so much bigger. Not when the postseason is approaching. Not when the defense is carrying its weight and waiting for the other side to match their stride. The fans feel it too, that blend of hope and frustration. Even when the offense struggles, there's always that belief that things can turn around because the talent is too strong to keep stumbling. But belief alone does not move the chains. Something has to change in the approach, in the creativity, in the willingness to adapt. As the season continues, the pressure will only grow. The opponents will not get easier. The weaknesses will not magically vanish. The offense must find their rhythm soon, or the defense's hard work will go to waste. Philadelphia is not a city that embraces excuses. It demands effort, adjustment, accountability, and results. And with so many moving pieces, so many players trying to find their form, and so many coaches under the spotlight, the path forward will reveal a lot about this team's future. Whether they rediscover their identity or continue searching for answers, the next stretch of games will define who they really are. Some drives show glimpses of what this group could be. Quick throws with timing and anticipation, runs that break past the first level, receivers winning cleanly at the top of their routes, linemen moving defenders instead of merely redirecting them. But those moments come in flashes, never long enough to be called a pattern. And while the defense grows sharper each week, the offense continues searching for answers, searching for a rhythm, searching for that identity it once had and cannot seem to rediscover, searching for a way to stop putting so much pressure on the side of the ball that has already carried this team through long stretches of the season. The frustration from fans, players, and coaches is understandable. Nobody expected a unit loaded with stars to struggle this long. Nobody expected to watch the offense fight for every yard instead of dictating the flow of games. And nobody expected to see a team with championship aspirations leaning so heavily on only half of its roster, while the other half tries to remember what it feels like to dominate. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Zack Martin's sudden agreement with the Philadelphia Eagles has sent tremors through league circles, sparking a wave of whispers that refuses to die down. Executives, agents, and even a few startled players were caught off guard by the move, which insiders claim was orchestrated quietly over the last several days. Though no one will go on record, the consensus in back corridors is that the Eagles pulled off something close to a heist, securing one of the most respected offensive linemen of his era without the usual months of public negotiation or posturing. The rumor mill has been spinning wildly. Some suggest Martin had grown increasingly intrigued by the possibility of anchoring a line built around power and mobility, a system many believe fits his style perfectly. Others hint at behind-the-scenes conversations with former teammates who reportedly painted Philadelphia as a destination capable of reigniting anyone's competitive fire. There's also talk that Martin was impressed with the front office's pitch, one described by a source as calculated, aggressive, and impossible to ignore. What remains murky is how the Eagles managed to maneuver around several other teams thought to be deep in the race. A few league insiders speculate that Philadelphia moved with unusual speed, presenting Martin with a vision rather than a simple contract figure. If true, it would explain why rival franchises are now scrambling to understand how the situation slipped from their grasp. More than one executive, speaking only in hushed tones, admitted they never saw the door closing so quickly. The locker room buzz in Philadelphia is reportedly fierce. Veterans are said to be thrilled, younger linemen stunned, and coaches nearly giddy about the ripple effect this could have on every offensive scheme they run. Martin's presence alone, according to one internal voice, changes the temperature of the entire room. Whether this stunning move signals a broader shift in the Eagles' long-term strategy remains the subject of intense speculation. For now, the league is left trading quiet theories, cautious questions, and the unmistakable feeling that this signing might be only the beginning of a much larger story. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.